Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview. And as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a guy that has had quite the story going from the JUCO ranks to the Power 5 level in D1 with Oregon State going off and really knocking down three after three from long range whenever the Beavers needed it, helping them to postseason tournament last year, another big time season this past season, and he's looking to go do the same thing next year at San Diego State, helping to lead them back to March Madness in 2027. Ladies and gentlemen, 6'7" wing Isaiah Sai. What's going on, Zay?
Doing good. How are you? I appreciate you having me here for the second time. Feels good.
Hey, absolutely, man. Excited to get you back on. We've done a few revamps to the podcast over the past year. I wasn't able to get you on last year, just had some schedule conflicts. I ended up moving to Mississippi, so a whole lot different from where I was at before. So very happy to get you on, especially after the season that you just had, really taking on a much bigger role. And I want fans, viewers that are just now getting to learn your name, see your face for the first time, to get to learn about your career real quick in a segment. Because, yeah, we do segments now. We're actually a little professional. Uh, a nice little segment called Resume Rundown, where I'm going to show off your resume going all the way back to your time with Cloud County in the JUCO ranks, where you were an all-conference selection as a freshman with their program. Ended up moving on to the D1 level with Oregon State. And this past year in 2026, once again, you were an all-conference selection in the West Coast Conference, and you were able to help lead Oregon State to a couple of wins in the West Coast Conference tournament during your time there over the past 2 years. But big thing was you guys ended up making a postseason tournament overall last year in the college basketball crown. I believe it was the first ever tournament that they had. So obviously able to help make history for that tournament and for the program left and right, all while knocking down some Steph Curry range threes, which we're going to show off some of those highlights here in a little while. But I want to ask you real quick, you helped Oregon State to this big 20-win season last year, going off being a very dominant team in the conference, going to the college basketball crown. And all the while, you were kind of a role player in their system, first year guy with the Beavers, trying to learn everything. And, obviously you were able to come in, knock down some good shots, but you only averaged, I believe it was around 5 points per game. As obviously being an underclassman, you have other guys there, upperclassmen that have a larger role. What did that first year kind of show you to where you were able to come into your second year with the program and really be able to flourish at a higher level?
I feel like my first year was more like a transition year. I feel like coming out of JUCO, it's like was expecting that level of physicality, but like the pace was like much faster. The guys were worse, way stronger than I expected. So I kind of had like a time where I had to just get to the level, improving, get to the system, and I felt like I was around great players and great staff. And that's why we had a 20 season win, and it was good just being around those people that helped me through the process, and I got to watch how they work, how they play, and how they prepare for game and stuff. And that's what I apply onto my second year, and that's when I started like having that starting role and stuff. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this past season, you started in 29 of your 33 games, upped your minutes per game by nearly 10 minutes per game more than you did your first year with them, and also ended up averaging 10 points per game, over 4.5 rebounds, shot over 35% from beyond the arc. And some of these performances were outstanding: 16 points, 12 boards against San Diego, 18 points and 6 rebounds against San Francisco. And then Loyola Marymount, you just went off 25 points and 11 rebounds for a
Yeah.
big time double-double going against them. And you were just, it seemed like you were able to grow your game in so many different aspects. You've always been able to be this fantastic shooter since your time in the JUCO ranks, but your ball handling improved even more to where you're able to pump fake and drive, beat people off the dribble. Defense improved a lot. Obviously, the rebound numbers, as I just mentioned. Talk to me real quick about growing your role overall and growing your game to where you could make this kind of impact on the scoreboard.
I mean, that's definitely like one of the points that one of the conversation we had after a season of last year. I was more like a role player and a shooter my first year at Oregon State. And then we wanted to expand into, because we only had two returners, two like players that like really touched the court, two returners into the year after. So it was like expanding my game, being able to create for others. being able to create my own shot and beating people off the dribble and being more than just a shooter. So those are all the things that we worked on during the spring and summer last year, and to be able to apply it during the year that just happened. So it was good.
Yeah, and I know this season overall was kind of hectic for you guys, back and forth. I believe started off with 3 wins, then had I believe a 4 or 5 game losing streak, then recorded another 3 or 4 wins in a row, and then kind of back and forth in conference play. Obviously, West Coast Conference with Gonzaga, St. Mary's, obviously Oregon State being in there as well. Very tough conference. You're going against some of the best of the best future NBA players every single night when you're in conference action. And you guys were able to see in, especially in those wins, all right, this is what we're doing really well. You being a guy that's now after your second year with the program, where you look at what you guys were doing, what would you say were some of those bright spots, some of those great qualities that this team did have, especially in those wins, to where if you guys had been just a little bit more consistent, you guys could have gone off and had even more wins?
Honestly, like we always said, the biggest advantage that we had on this team was how close we were. We were all like brothers, like was off the court and on the court, like from the beginning, we're like always like close to each other. So that's when, for example, like our first 3 games were close game, and I feel like the fact that we're all on the same page, and even if it was early in the season, we're able to like close those game and have those win after the those close matchup. Then I feel like we had a very young team in some way. The We had players that had 1 year of like college experience, like at like a good level, but we didn't had any real senior. We only had two, and one of them was injured for I believe half of the year. So I feel like that's what we lacked a little bit. But overall, I feel like we had all the pieces. We just had like a lot of ups and downs, and we just didn't find like the real like pace that we wanted to play at until late during the season.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes a little bit too late, but obviously you saw some of the bright spots that you guys had, and you obviously were one of those bright spots, being a dominant scorer for this team, obviously a double figure scorer, and you were able to knock down some big time shots at all 3 levels this past season. I want to talk about some of these big time shots that you made in a quick segment that I like to call Make That Play, where I went through Synergy, I looked at every single made shot you had, and I put together my list of your top 3 that you had this past season. But it's just in my opinion. I'm just a stats guy. You're the one on the court doing what you do best. What would you say was your top play from this past season?
Honestly, I might have top play. I think I have 1-3 against San Diego last game where I think it's a close game. We're up five, I believe, and it's like a minute 30 to play. And if it's like if I make the three, we're going to up eight, and it's like almost like okay, like we have that game in the pocket. And if you miss, it's like okay, the game is still going on, and I think I make one of those shots. So that's definitely one of my top three plays. Then I might have my I'll say like semi dunk at San Francisco that like some of them call them a dunk, some of them not, but like I believe for me that was a dunk, but that's definitely the top three. And then what else? I don't know for my last one. Well, which one do you think?
Oh, well, I got 3 on here that you haven't even mentioned there. Actually, the one that dunk against San Francisco, believe it or not, fell to 4 on my list. I had it at 3 there for a while, fell to 4. But at number 3, what I have is a big sidestep 3 that you had against Sam Houston, where people know and respect the fact that you're a shooter. Defenses are prepared for you. Okay, we got to close out on this guy. You had a dude coming up trying to close out on you, had the rock, pump faked him. He went flying like Superman through the air, and you just sidestepped and cashed in a 3 like it was nothing. And obviously, big time points on the board there, big time highlight. And that's at number 3. Number 2, going against San Francisco, reverse layup and one going against them, where you ended
Yeah.
up driving from the wing, kind of spun off one defender on the baseline, going into another defender, kind of right underneath the basket, and you got up, hit the nice little reverse layup through the contact, drew the foul for the and one to go to the free throw line. And at number 1, I have your and one score right before halftime going against, I believe it was Washington State, where you pump fake 2 defenders right off rip. They went past you, blew past a third who ended up being right on your back hip, and it kind of caused you to get a little bit off balance. Time's winding down. You know you got to get the shot off, so you go up, get that kind of mid-range floater off just in time, and he fouled you, ended up going to the free throw line once again right before the half. So obviously three of a whole lot of shots that you made. You made quite a few throughout the season, and the scoring numbers really seem to improve for you, especially in conference play, where once conference play started, I mean, I mentioned those three games against San Diego, San Francisco, Loyola Marymount. They're all in the West Coast Conference. You had some good games against Gonzaga and a couple of other very talented teams as well. Talk to me real quick about that confidence level to get those shots up, to know in your mind, okay, I'm gonna make this shot. I'm gonna produce for my team. I'm gonna help do whatever I can to help them win. How would you say that really took another step when you got into West Coast Conference play?
I feel like that's all the things that I worked on and we worked on like at practice. I feel like last year was a little less confident in my shots because I had a slow start. My percentage wasn't as good as I expected to be, and so I just had got more reps, got more in the gym, got ready for the right opportunities. And then when I was in game, I felt like I was just taking the shots that I was working on, so I felt more comfortable taking those shots. And the whole coaching staff and the whole team trusted me. And even if I go 0 for 3, 0 for 4s, they'll tell me to keep shooting because that's what I do. And them giving me that confidence and me having the confidence in myself was just like a combination that I needed to keep like knocking down those shots.
Yeah, there you go. Got to have that confidence to know that you're going to make whatever shot you end up taking. And that's part of the reason why towards the end of the season, you guys ended up doing even better, getting more wins there towards the end. Overall on the season, winning record 17 and 16, struck even in conference action 9 and 9. But some of those wins, I mean, the San Diego win, you had 92 to 82 overtime win there. San Francisco 70 to 62, and then Loyola Marymount 76 to 70 win there, and even got a win over San Francisco in the quarterfinals, I believe, or first round of the West Coast Conference tournament, in which I'll touch on that game specifically here in a sec. But towards the end of the season, you guys went on a 6-3 run to end regular season play going into the conference tournament. Talk to me real quick about the groove that you guys seemed to get into there towards the end of the season, to where you guys were able to climb up the standings a little bit higher, get yourself in better position going into postseason action.
So late in conference play, we were actually, I think, fifth in conference, and we were tied. It was a three-way tie between us, Washington State, and San Francisco. And we had a like team meeting with the players that one of the player Jorge started, and to really like focus on the team. What are the goals? What do we need to do, and how we need to approach it? And after that team meeting, that's where we started and had the six win and three loss run. And I felt like we really needed that. And the most important was definitely staying together and just like going game by game. Like we didn't want to focus on okay, like we only have like a couple game left, and then a couple game left, and then like we're going into the playoffs, and then like we focus on that. We're going one game by one game, and just focusing on like one game at a time just made us like really like stay in the moment and just like give 100% to each game.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why you guys were also able to go off and beat San Francisco in that first game that you had of the West Coast Conference tournament, and even gave Gonzaga a run for their money. And it seemed like you guys were able to really execute very well in the conference tournament, to where you guys were able to prove that you belong on the big stage as one of the best of the best. Obviously, I know season overall didn't go the way you guys wanted to because of injuries, but when you're in that West Coast Conference, you're able to hold your own against Gonzaga, who makes March Madness every year, produces top tier NBA draft picks. Obviously, San Francisco, very tough, talented team there. You guys were able to edge them out. I believe it was a couple point decision where you guys were able to really hang on, come out on top. Talk to me real quick about the execution during that conference tournament play where you guys were able to really succeed.
So first of all, the first game we played San Francisco, like you said, we had Des White who was back, who was injured for the last three game of the year, I believe. So having him back just like was like a plus. And then going into that game, San Francisco already played one game, so they were already like in the moment. And we were like, okay, like we beat that team twice, and it's really hard to beat a team three times, and they're gonna come out and play super hard. So we come out with the mindset that we got to punch first. Like we have to like go and punch first. and we actually didn't. Like I think they went on a 8-0 run the first 4 minutes, I believe. And so we took a timeout, sit down, and like really like be focused. And then we're like, okay, like now this happened. Now we're in the game. Now we got to win it. And that mentality that we had is just like it might be our last game playing together, and we don't want that to happen. So we have to win this game to play together again.
Hey, there you go. Brotherly bond. Obviously, you spoke before about how you guys were all so close. And I know it was kind of crazy at the end of the season. You guys' head coach, who had been there forever, he stepped away from the program now, and they brought in a new coach to replace him at Oregon State. Hard to replace somebody with his kind of reputation with the Beavers. So best of luck to him on the next stage of his life and career. But you end up entering the transfer portal and are now heading to San Diego State, where they are top tier team in the Mountain West Conference every single year, and they've made their own runs in March Madness very recently in the past couple of years. Talk to me real quick about joining their program. What was it about them that really stuck out to you, and how do you feel like you're going to really blend into their system next year?
So I feel like from the beginning, as soon as I started talking to Coach Duster and the whole coaching staff, it just felt like it just clicked. Like to be honest, I feel like when we talked about their mentality, the culture, what the goals are for the year, and how they see me develop into their program and how they see me play, it just like was everything that I wanted. And I feel like this is a place where like I can continue to grow as a player and prepare my professional career as well as competing at the highest level and being around the people that are going to make me improve and the right people at the same time. And I'm also glad that like I'll be able to play in the Pac-12 and play against Oregon State, which is going to be nice. And I'm going to play against probably Josiah Lake, who was my teammate last year. So it's going to be good. But yeah, like having the Zoom call with them and just talking over the phone and just like having this conversation, like I just came back to my family and I was like, I feel like this is the right place and I don't want to let the opportunity go away. I need to take it.
Yeah, I mean, being able to kind of help start a new era for a whole new conference is actually really cool for you guys, and a whole new era for San Diego State, who, like I said before, obviously ran the Mountain West with quite a few other teams that were, I mean, that Mountain West Conference so talented overall, just like the West Coast. And now you guys, a couple of teams from each conference, are now going to reform the Pac-12. So that's going to be quite interesting to see who ends up taking the throne at the end of the 26-27 season for that Pac-12. I have a feeling San Diego State, led by yourself and a couple of other talented players, are going to be up there towards the top, if not the very top. And I know you mentioned some of your teammates that you're going to be going against when you play Oregon State next year. And I know you're going to be playing alongside a lot of great talent at San Diego State as well. And I want to give you a chance to shout out players either from Oregon State, San Diego State, or wherever, whatever school they might come from, in this segment called Who's Up Next, where you get to recommend some players that I can have on the podcast to get them on to talk about their seasons, their careers, just as you're doing now. So, who would you say is next up on the Slim Sports podcast?
Definitely Kazai Kisi, who is my best friend. I mean, I grew up with him playing basketball, know each other for a very long time, and playing with each other this year was probably the biggest blessing I had in my life. And he's definitely up there. Definitely up there. Had like a crazy past, just like me playing JUCO into coming to Oregon State and playing in France. Like it's definitely him. Um, I'll definitely shout out Malcolm Christie too. I feel like he's someone that he's like a shooter, just like me, but someone that I played against 2 years ago. So when my first year at Oregon State, when he was at Oakland Grizzlies, and the fact that we were playing the same position and have like a little bit of the same play style was something that really helped us like work together and give advice to each other. And it was really nice having somebody that is like have like the same vision as the game as you. So it was really good.
Hey, there you go. Obviously, some great names right there for who's up next. And now we've got to talk about one more thing, and that's what's next for yourself. Obviously, we know you're going to San Diego State to go help their program out. But how are you looking to really improve your game even further to where you can take that next step, not only for your college career, but to help improve your chances in the professional ranks once your college career is done going into next season?
Definitely work on my ability to drive and create my own shot, like I've been doing. And then this year, I haven't been able to finish around the rim at a high percentage. So this is definitely the something that me and the coaching staff talked about, and something that I have to work on. Keep improving my three-point shooting, my ball handling, and all those things, and keep improving my defense too, because San Diego State is a big defensive program, and I want to be able to guard full court and be able to like really put pressure on the other team. So those are the things that I feel like I mainly need to work on, and then bring my leadership and my experience to San Diego State and just try to get to the top, like you said, win the Pac-12 and go to March Madness. That's the goal.
Hey, there you go, man. I mean, you always find ways to improve every single year, always find ways to help whatever program you're a part of win. No doubt in my mind that's going to continue going into next season. I can't wait to see what you do in the 26-27 season. And like you just said there, can't wait to see you in March Madness representing the Aztecs, man. Beyond blessed to get you back on the podcast, show you the new reformatted way that we do things with the nice little segments. We're going to be able to do these segments again next year, showing off some even more highlights and hopefully an actual dunk that everybody calls a dunk next year. I'm hoping I see you posterize somebody at some point this season, man. So beyond blessed to get you on, have that high level IQ on the podcast once again, man. Thank you so much for hopping on the Slim Sports podcast.
I appreciate you having me here.